welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are wading into something that I think everyone feels but maybe hasn't quite put into words.
Yeah, it's a very universal feeling right now.
It really is. It's like that specific paralysis you get when you open Spotify or Apple Music. You have access to literally everything. I mean, history's entire recorded catalog, tens of millions of tracks.
Right.
And yet you feel like you're listening to the same 5 songs. Or worse, you feel like every new song sounds vaguely familiar.
It's the ultimate paradox of the modern age. We are drowning in choice, but somehow the charts feel more stagnant and repetitive than they did 20 years ago.
Exactly. I was reading through the background for this, and the numbers are just staggering. There are over 100,000 new tracks uploaded to streaming services every single day.
Which is just a massive volume of audio.
It's an avalanche. You'd think that would mean we'd have this wildly diverse democratic music landscape where anyone can be a star because the gatekeepers are gone.
Ideally, yes. That was the original promise of the internet.
Yeah.
But the data shows the exact opposite is happening.
Right. We're seeing what researchers call a democratization versus monopoly paradox. Yes, the barrier to entry is lower. Anyone can upload a song from their bedroom.
Right. I could upload a song tonight if I wanted to.
Exactly. But the barrier to attention has become a fortress. The charts are actually dominated by fewer megastars, and they're staying at the top for longer periods than we even saw in the pre-internet era.
That is just wild to think about. So today, we are unpacking the machinery behind that. And for everyone listening, we've got a really great stack of sources here.
Yeah, we're pulling from everywhere on this one.
We've got industry market reports from Grandview Research, we've got music psychology studies, and we even pulled some very heated, very honest discussions from musicians on Reddit about what their paychecks actually look like.
Those Reddit threads were incredibly eye-opening.
They really were. So our mission today is to look at 3 key areas. First, the economic realities of why streaming pays less than CDs. Second, the psychology of the hit, which explains why songs are literally getting shorter and simpler. And third, the rise of AI and algorithms, not just in writing music, but in manufacturing startup.
It is a lot to cover, but let's start with the money. Because I think there's this assumption that the music industry is just booming right now.
People see the headlines and assume everyone is rich.
Exactly. We see these massive stadium tours for Taylor Swift or Beyonce, and we just assume the whole industry is flush with cash.
And that is the very first misconception we need to clear up. If you look at the macro level, the industry has consolidated aggressively.
Right.
Back in the 90s, we had the big 6 music conglomerates. Today, after decades of mergers and acquisitions, we are down to just 3 major players.
Universal, Sony, and Warner.
Exactly. Just those 3.
From 6 down to 3, that is a massive bottleneck. It's like if all the movies in the world were made by just 3 studios.
It really is. And when you have that level of consolidation, risk tolerance plummets.
Because they have so much overhead.
Exactly. In the 90s, with more players fighting for market share, you might take a gamble on a weird experimental band because you needed an edge to stand out.
Right, you needed the next Nirvana.
But today, these are massive, publicly traded entities. They need guaranteed returns. They need certainty.
Which explains why everything on the radio sounds a bit safe. But surely with everyone paying subscriptions, there's more money floating around in general. I mean, I pay my $10 faithfully every single month.
You do, but let's look at the math there. If you adjust for inflation, global streaming revenue still hasn't surpassed the peak of physical sales in the late 90s.
Really?
Yeah, think about it. In 1999, you might walk into a record store and drop $15 or $18 on a single CD.
Oh, I definitely did. My allowance was gone instantly. I'd buy like 2 CDs and be completely broke for the rest of the month.
Right, so you were spending maybe $30 to $40 a month on music as a teenager.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Now you pay maybe $10 or $12 a month, and you get access to all the music in the world. The consumer is spending significantly less per song than they used to. The pie has shrunk.
And the slices of that smaller pie are getting thinner. This ties right into that Reddit thread we pulled for the research, where an artist broke down their earnings. And it was honestly depressing.
It's a harsh reality check.
They had 450,000 streams on a track. That sounds huge to me. If I had 500,000 people listen to this deep dive, I'd be throwing a party.
You would think that's a livable wage, right?
Yeah. This artist revealed they earned exactly $1,008. That averages out to about 0.2 cents per stream.
$0.002.
You can't pay rent on that. You can barely buy groceries on that for a month. How is that sustainable for anyone who isn't a global superstar?
It frankly isn't. And this brings us to the pro rata model, which is how most streaming services calculate their payouts.
I really want to dig into this because I didn't understand this at all until I read the sources.
It is crucial to understand because it dictates the entire economy. Let's say you, as a listener, pay your $10 subscription. And let's say you are really into obscure underground indie jazz bands.
Oh,
You listen to nothing else, just local jazz. You might assume your $10 goes to those jazz bands.
all right. I mean, I'm supporting the artists I love. That's how commerce works. I buy the apple. The farmer gets paid for the apple.
Not in streaming. In a pro rata system, all the money from every subscriber goes into one big bucket. Your $10 is thrown in with my $10 and everyone else's.
Okay.
Then the platform looks at the total share of streams across the entire world. If Taylor Swift or Drake accounts for 5% of all streams on the platform that month, they get 5% of the entire bucket,
Including a chunk of my $10.
including a chunk of your $10, even if you never stream them once.
Wait, so my money is essentially subsidizing the mega stars even if I actively avoid listening to them.
Precisely. It's a winner-takes-all economy. Your specific listening habits don't direct your specific dollars,
That feels almost completely broken for the independent artist.
and it got even harder in 2024. Spotify introduced a new policy where a track has to hit 1,000 streams annually to earn any money at all.
Any money, like $0 if they don't hit it.
$0. That effectively demonetized about 87% of the tracks on the platform.
87%. That is wild.
The stated logic is to clear out the noise. Rain Sounds white noise, random one-off recordings, and then redistribute that money to, quote, working artists.
But for a niche indie artist, getting 1,000 streams in a year is a genuine hurdle.
It absolutely is. So the economics are essentially rigged against the little guy. It's a system designed to funnel money to the top.
Okay, so that's the money side. Let's pivot to the music itself, because the sources suggest that the way we pay for music is actually fundamentally changing how songs are written.
Yes. Art is complex.
You mentioned earlier in the notes that songs are getting shorter.
They're shrinking fast. In the 90s, the average hit was over 4 minutes long. Today, it's hovering around 2 to 3 minutes.
Wow.
And that isn't just a creative choice. It is directly tied to something called the skip rate.
The skip rate. Explain how that mechanism works.
On streaming platforms, an artist usually only gets paid if a listener stays on the track for at least 30 seconds.
Okay.
If you skip at 29 seconds, they get nothing. A financial zero.
Oh, wow. So those first 30 seconds are basically a life or death audition for the song.
Exactly. And this has effectively killed the intro. Think about classic rock songs like Hotel California or even 80s pop. They had these long 20-second instrumental build-ups.
Yeah, where you had time to just settle into the vibe of the track.
Right. Today, that is financial suicide. You have to hook the listener in the first 5 seconds or they swipe away. So now the chorus often starts immediately.
That makes so much sense. I feel like I hear the hook before I even hear the first verse nowadays. It's just instant gratification.
And once you hook them, you want them to play it again. A 2-minute song is twice as replayable as a 4-minute song in the same amount of time.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, if someone listens on a loop for an hour, a shorter song generates double the royalties. It's engineering for attention.
This sounds almost scientific, like they're building these pop songs in a laboratory.
There is a surprising amount of science involved, actually.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of the Voot curve?
I saw that in the psychology study we reviewed, the optimal complexity model. It sounds like something from a physics class.
It's actually a concept from psychology. Imagine an inverted U shape on a graph. It charts our pleasure against complexity.
Okay.
If a song is too simple, it's boring. Think of a nursery rhyme. If it's too complex, like chaotic free jazz, it sounds like noise to most people.
Right.
There's a sweet spot right in the middle at the peak of that curve. Researchers call that processing fluency.
Processing fluency.
Yeah.
That sounds like a very clinical corporate buzzword.
It essentially just means your brain likes it when it can successfully predict what comes next. It gives you a little dopamine hit for being right.
Oh, like when you guess the rhyme in a song you've never heard before.
Exactly. The trend we're seeing going back to 1950 is that pop melodies have become about 30% less complex over time.
30%.
Yes, they are optimizing for that processing fluency. They want you to feel like you already know the song the very first time you hear it.
So are we getting dumber as listeners, or is the music just getting dumber?
It's not necessarily dumber, but it is definitely safer. I like to call it sophisticated simplicity. The The real masters of this knew exactly what they were doing long before streaming.
Like who?
Look at Elton John, for example. He used what are called linear bass lines, or chord inversions. He would take a really complex harmonic progression that might normally challenge a pop listener.
But he made it a massive hit.
Right, because he disguised it with a very simple, highly singable melody.
So he's essentially sneaking the vegetables into the brownies.
That is a perfect analogy. You enjoy the brownie, but the structure underneath it is actually quite sophisticated and nutritious, musically speaking.
That's brilliant.
Or look at Prince. When Doves Cry is a masterpiece of this concept. It was a huge global hit. But did you know it actually has no bass line at all?
Wait, really? A funk pop song by Prince with no bass?
None. He recorded a bass line, listened back to the mix, and decided it sounded too conventional. So he just muted it.
That is such a risky, complex choice to remove the whole rhythmic foundation of a dance track.
It is. But he anchored the song with that incredibly catchy synth hook and his vocal performance. He balanced the unfamiliar risk of no bass with the familiar comfort of a catchy hook.
And that keeps it perfectly balanced on the top of that want curve.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But today, producers are using some pretty wild tricks to manipulate how we hear things, especially because of the devices we use.
Right. I wanted to ask you about this. The notes mentioned something called the ghost bass. It sounds very spooky. What is that?
It's a very modern production technique. It was heavily influenced by trap and hip-hop, but now you hear it in almost all mainstream pop. Here's the problem they're trying to solve. Most people today listen to music on phone speakers or cheap earbuds.
Yeah, guilty as charged.
Those tiny speakers physically cannot reproduce low bass frequencies. If you put a standard melodic bass line in the 80 to 200 hertz range,
Which is the mid bass, right?
if you put it there, it can sound muddy and terrible on a phone. It actively clashes with the vocals.
So what's the workaround? How do they fix that?
They just scoop it out entirely. They leave that mid-bass range completely empty, kind of like what Prince did, but then they put a massive sub-bass, usually an 808 kick drum, way down below 60 hertz.
But wait, if the phone speaker can't play below 60 hertz, why put it there at all?
That is the trick. On the phone, you hear the vocals crystal clear, because absolutely nothing is fighting them in that frequency range.
Yeah.
But when you put on good headphones or get in the car with a subwoofer, that sub-bass physically hits you. It uses a psychoacoustic effect called the missing fundamental.
The missing fundamental. Okay, that sounds like the title of a mystery novel.
It's fascinating. Your brain hears the upper overtones of the kick drum and essentially hallucinates the fundamental bass frequency. Your brain fills in the gaps.
So you're hearing something that isn't actually playing clearly.
Exactly. It creates this hyper-intimate sound where the vocals feel like they are right inside your head, but the beat still feels incredibly heavy. It is audio engineering specifically designed for the iPhone era.
That explains so much. It explains why modern pop sounds so weirdly empty and heavy at the exact same time. It's literally engineered for earbuds.
It absolutely is.
Huh.
But the engineering isn't just happening in the studio at the mixing board. It's actually happening before the song is even signed to a label. We have to talk about AI.
I feel like AI is the boogeyman in every single industry right now, but in music it seems like it's already the boss.
It is rapidly becoming the new A&R. Labels are using predictive AI tools now. Platforms like Museo or Unbiased. These tools analyze a demo track's tempo, key, mood, and chord progression.
And then what?
They compare it against a massive database of millions of past hits.
So the computer just tells the label, hey, this song has an 88% chance of being a hit.
Pretty much. Some of these companies claim accuracy rates between 88 and 97%. They call them predictive audits.
That is crazy.
Think about it from the label's perspective. Why gamble millions of dollars on an A&R guy's gut feeling when the algorithm says this track has the perfect energy score for a Spotify workout playlist?
That takes all the romance out of getting discovered, doesn't it? It's basically Moneyball, but for music.
It's exactly Moneyball. And there's another AI tool called Sonoteller that identifies what they call the golden minute. It finds the absolute catchiest 60 seconds of a song, so the label knows exactly which part to push on TikTok.
Which feeds right back into the death of the intro and the skip read economy we talked about earlier.
Exactly. It's all connected. And this predictive safety net leads to another massive trend you've definitely noticed lately. Nostalgia bait.
Oh, you mean how every new song on the radio is just a rewrite of an old song?
Yes. Have you noticed how prevalent that is?
Absolutely, like David Guetta doing I'm Good Blue, which is just that Eiffel 65 song from the 90s. Or that new track that just samples Barbie Girl.
That is a very deliberate strategy. Labels heavily prefer what's called interpolation right now. rewriting an old hit.
Because it's safer.
Because familiar melodies have drastically lower skip rates. The listener's brain already knows the song. Remember, processing fluency.
Right, the dopamine hit from predicting what comes next.
Exactly. Processing fluency is high immediately on a song you already know.
Yeah.
It is much safer for a label to invest $5 million in a song that was already a proven hit in 1999 than to bet on a brand new original melody.
So we are just stuck in a loop of recycled memories because it's financially safer for the three mega labels.
In many ways, yes. The industry has shifted away from a model of discovery to a model of manufacturing certainty. They want to remove the financial risk from art.
That is honestly pretty bleak. It feels like we are just passively feeding the machine. But surely there are ways to beat this, right? If you're an artist who doesn't want to just rewrite Cotton Eye Joe for TikTok, what do you do?
There are strategies to fight back, but they differ wildly depending on who you are in the ecosystem. If you are a mega star like Taylor Swift or Drake, you use what's called the album bomb.
The album bomb, I haven't heard that term.
Because every single track stream counts towards the charts now. When a superstar drops a 20-track album, they don't just debut at number 1. They debut at number 1, 2, 3, all the way down to 20.
Oh, because fans stream the whole album on a repeat.
Right, they literally occupy the entire chart. This physically blocks other artists from getting any visibility. It's a total occupation of the streaming ecosystem that just wasn't possible in the CD era.
Okay, but what if you aren't Taylor Swift? What if you're a mid-tier artist just trying to survive and get noticed?
Then you can't drop an album all at once. You have to play the long game. The smart strategy for mid-tier artists right now is called the waterfall.
Like the TLC song, Don't Go Chasing Waterfalls.
No, actually quite the opposite. You do chase the waterfall. Instead of dropping an album all at once where it might just get completely lost in the noise of those 100,000 daily uploads, you release one single every 4 to 6 weeks.
So you're drip feeding the content to the audience.
Exactly. It keeps your algorithmic heartbeat active. Every time you release a track, you get a spike on the release radar playlists.
Right.
If you drop an album, you spike once and then fade away. If you waterfall singles, you stay visible to the algorithm for months.
That makes a lot of sense.
An artist named Ray did this brilliantly a little while ago with her track Escapism. She built momentum slowly, single by single, until the algorithm finally caught on and pushed her to the very top.
Okay, so consistency is key to beating the algorithm. But what about the actual money? We established earlier that streaming pays basically nothing.
That's where we see the rise of the superfan economy. You have to move listeners from being passive consumers to active supporters. The classic example of this is Nipsey Hussle.
Rapper.
Yes. Years ago, he released a mixtape called Crenshaw. You go online and download it for free, but he also sold physical limited edition copies for $100 each.
$100 for a mixtape you could get for free. Who buys that?
People who truly believe in the artist. He made a campaign called Proud to Pay, and he sold 1,000 of them in less than 24 hours. Jay-Z actually bought 100 copies himself.
That is incredible.
The underlying lesson there is that 1,000 superfans who are willing to pay $100 are worth infinitely more than 1 million people who stream your song once by accident on a background playlist.
It's entirely about value rather than
Precisely. It's shifting from broad, shallow reach to very deep engagement. And you see artists engaging this way with live performances too, to build that loyalty. Look at Ed Sheeran, for instance. He uses live looping on stage.
I've seen videos of that. He builds the song layer by layer right in front of the stadium.
And that isn't just a cool party trick, it's actually a teaching tool.
How so?
By building the beat, then the bass line, and the harmony right in front of the audience, he is actively teaching them the structure of the song in real time.
Oh, wow. So he's building their processing fluency live.
Exactly. By the time the full song kicks in, the audience understands the anatomy of it perfectly, so they enjoy it more. He takes a stadium show and turns it into an intimate communal construction project.
That's a really cool way to look at it. It's not just watch me play this song, it's watch how this song is made.
It connects listener deeply to the human process. And in a world of AI and highly polished ghost-produced tracks, that human connection to the process is becoming a premium luxury product. People want to see the human fingerprints on the work.
So let's bring this all together. We have an economic system that favors 3 massive monopolies. We have algorithms that push for shorter, simpler songs. And we have AI predicting our tastes before we even click play. What does this ultimately mean for you, the listener?
It means we are existing in a pay-to-stay ecosystem. Maintaining a position at the top requires massive marketing budgets just to fight the churn of 100,000 daily uploads.
Right.
But for the listener, it raises a really uncomfortable question about our own personal taste.
Which is what?
We really need to ask ourselves, is the music I love actually my taste? Or is it just what the algorithm knew I wouldn't skip?
Oof, that hits hard. I look at my Spotify on repeat playlist, and I have to wonder, did I actually choose this? Or did the algorithm just realize I was being passive?
It's tough to face. The algorithms are optimized for engagement, not for diversity. They are designed solely to keep you listening, not to challenge you.
Right.
They create what's known as a filter bubble. If you listen to one type of music, they will feed you more and more of that exact type until you genuinely forget anything else exists.
That is honestly a terrifying thought to end on. We are all just living in our own little algorithmic echo chamber.
We are, but we can break out of them.
How do we do that?
You have to be active. Don't just let the autoplay run endlessly. Go manually search for something weird. Go to an actual physical record store.
Right.
Ask a human friend what they're listening to right now. Break the loop.
I love that. Consider that your mission for the week, everyone. Go find a song that an algorithm didn't pick for you. Thank you for diving deep with us today.
Always a pleasure.
See you next time.